Hello, everyone. I have the pleasure today of speaking with Scott Maynor of Marshall Fire Attorney. Scott, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. So I met Scott actually because you might know I was impacted by the Marshall fire that occurred on December 30th of 2021 at this point.
Right.
And we are coming up on 2 years, believe it or not, since the event, since the fire itself. And I wanted to talk to Scott today to actually share some information because that 2-year mark actually is pretty significant. So Scott, talk to me about what December 30th this year, 30 days from now, means.
Yeah, it's the time is running out, folks. So I am a fire attorney. We litigate fire cases, especially big fires like the one in the Marshall fire. And the 2-year anniversary, unfortunately, has approached already. December 30th of this year will be that moment. And that's called what we call the statute of limitations. And that will expire people's ability to file a claim against an eligible defendant and get involved and preserve their rights in the lawsuit. So there's only about 30 days left. And if you're adding the holidays in there, there's really no time. So anybody who feels like they might have been impacted by the fire, and that doesn't just include folks who've had major losses like a complete home that burned down. It could also be smoke and soot damage or an emotional impact or evacuating the fire or even a business that incurred some losses. Those people need to reach out to attorneys, reach out to their neighbors and find out who they can call to talk to about filing a claim now and getting involved before the statute runs. Gabe, really the one thing we don't want to see happen is having people whose neighbors were affected and said, hey, I'm ready to file my claim and it's January. Well, it's too late by then. And the statute will have run. So we just don't want that to happen.
Yeah, thanks for that, Scott. So to be clear, this isn't a plug for Scott or his firm, although I think they're great folks and a great firm. This is a matter of just asking you and suggesting that if you were impacted, if you don't know if you were impacted, contact an attorney, contact Scott or another firm to learn about what your options are. And to be specific, this is about the lawsuit against Xcel.
That's right.
At this point.
That's right. Our law firm and several other law firms have filed lawsuits against Xcel Energy for starting the fire which caused the Marshall fire. We know there were 2 fires. We know they merged at some point. We don't know when they merged and how what happened after that. The litigation process will have a discovery component which will help us understand what really happened. That being said, don't wait. There's no time to wait, and you've got to preserve your right. You really don't have anything to lose. And that's right. There's a number of law firms out there who are engaging with prospective clients right now. And I would suggest that you talk to maybe some of your neighbors about who they're talking to. Find out who you're comfortable with. Look at some of the maybe advertisements out there. If you look up Marshall Fire and Marshall Fire lawyers or Marshall Fire attorneys, you'll see on Google or any other search engine a number of pages. Give them all a call. You don't owe them anything, but just have the conversation.
I think that's a great point. You don't owe them anything. There's no commitment and there's no cost to do the research and there's no cost to sign up.
Right. It's all free. Most, if not all of these law firms are going to be following these lawsuits on a contingency basis, which means they don't recover anything. They don't have any fees unless they're successful for your case, which is a great way to go because the people who suffered from the Marshall fire have already suffered enough. It would be too much for them to come out of pocket for something like this, especially something risky like a lawsuit. They are risky because there's no guarantees. However, you should definitely get involved. You should not wait and talk to somebody as soon as you can.
If somebody wants to contact you, I'll provide your company website in the comments below.
Thank you.
Is that the best way?
Yeah, we've got, I appreciate that. You can check us out in the comments, but the number is going to be down there in our website, and we have an inquiry, and you can kind of look up everything there. We also host a number of workshops and seminars in Boulder County, usually at Louisville Community Center and the Superior Community Center and the Louisville Recreation Center, where you can usually meet us in person and talk about your case. We're always willing to meet people on their terms, whether that be a phone call or an email or actually sitting down for a cup of coffee. We're happy to do it. I'm sure the other firms are too. Gabe, one thing you brought up is people who believe they may not have a claim. And it's easy to identify the neighbors who lost so much, the ones who suffered burn downs. And I think I hear this a lot. I just don't know if our claim is important enough, or we really don't want to take anything away from those people who suffered more than we did. That's understandable. It's understandable to feel that way, and it's kind of like a survivor's guilt. Well, we didn't lose as much as maybe our neighbors did. I would suggest having that conversation with an attorney and figuring out whether or not you still have a claim, because you're not going to take away from Peter to pay Paul or yourself in these claims. There's enough out there for us to pursue from the defendant that if we're successful, you'll be able to recover too.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Scott, and I appreciate it.
Thank
Great
you,
to
Dave.
see you, and
Great to
thanks
see
for your
you, too.
time.
Appreciate you.
All right.